it takes time. You might be in a bad situation now, but if you're patient, get help, get assistance, ask for help, then that's when things will start looking up for you. My name is Matthew Hudgins, and I'm going to tell you how I started living on my own. After high school, I joined the on-campus transition program, and I was the first student ever chosen for the OCTP program. About 6 months after we started the program, I gave my desires. I wanted to live by myself. I didn't want to live with my mom no more. My first apartment didn't work out. I just wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mature. Because back then, I was very stubborn. And I didn't listen to people as much as I do now. Because heck, I was a young 20-year-old. The world was my oyster. I didn't need to listen to old people and stuff like that. I knew what I was talking about. I knew everything. But it turned out I didn't know everything. Before I lived here, I lived in a horrible, horrible condition. I was in a pretty bad place right there, just mentally, physically, financially, everything. When I went to Blacksburg High School, I met up with a lady called Jonna Elliott. Miss Elliott was a big contributor, like huge.
My name is Jonna Elliott, and I worked for 30 years with Montgomery County Public Schools, mostly as a transition coordinator, helping students with disabilities get to the next place in their lives. When he originally moved out from his mother's house, he was homeless quite a bit. He was on friends' couches. It was a lot of back and forth. And then eventually he moved into the home where his grandmother lived. It was just very difficult. He didn't have any money. He didn't have any benefits. He literally had nothing.
Community is very important with anything because you can't do everything alone. It can be a gaming community, a family community, a haunted house community, and I have my special ed community, which is like with Miss Elliott and my other special education friends. Community is a cornerstone of what everyone needs, because without it, you're just alone. And being alone sucks, because I've been alone a long time in the past, and nothing ever gets done.
We started to have these monthly meetings with some other folks in the community who cared about Matt. What I needed was just a little community support, so I didn't feel like it was just Matt and me. And so Matt really defined some goals for himself. He really wanted a place of his own. He wanted to live alone. He wanted to get a driver's license. And he wanted to just have some friends. We had to really start from basic, like, get the birth certificate, get the Social Security card. I knew he needed a Medicaid waiver. He had to have Medicaid before he could get a Medicaid waiver. So we were just putting the pieces together, one piece at a time. Housing was the hardest piece of it because he really wanted to live alone, and he had a couple of dogs.
About a year and a half after I got my Social Security, Miss Elliott found a way to get me HUD.
So he got the place and he moved in. Now, the challenge is never over. The rent has doubled since he's been there.
I get HUD, which is the Housing or Urban Development. They pay a majority of it, but I still have to pay money. And how I pay that is through a couple means. I get SSI, SSDI, and I have a job. What's great living on my own is just the freedom of it. Though with certain freedoms, like any freedom, there's consequences to where if you stay up too late, you'll be more tired tomorrow. That's the exciting part. Having freedom and dealing with mistakes you never dealt with before. And it's just the freedom to do what I want when I want to do it, not when someone determines when I do it. I lived at a bunch of places before I came here, but this is the first place in a long time where I've actually felt like I'm home. Thank God when I finally got my SSI and SSDI, that was a big change for me and something I desperately needed.
He did get a Medicaid waiver, and that did provide a service provider. So he had a great service provider to start out with, Adam.
Adam is my very, very, very good friend who's also my DSP. And DSP stands for Direct Service Provider. The best way I can describe it is it's a friend that gets to hang out with you and get paid.
My name is Adam Lawson, and I am a in-home wrap DSP for Matt Hudgins. One of my big jobs is I work with Matt at his home. So I do a lot of daily activities with him in-home. So that could be cooking, that could be cleaning, that could be scheduling medical appointments, transporting Matt to any medical appointment that he has, things of that nature. I also do a lot of community engagement.
He basically comes in, Monday through Friday and sometimes 7 days a week. And the way this works, he'll come in and make sure I've taken my medicine, make sure my house is clean. Then we can do whatever we want. Sometimes we'll go fishing, sometimes we'll go to the arcade museum, sometimes we'll go to pinball museum. It's never ending what we can do.
And he helps Matt work on skills. Like right now they're working on driving. And then they like to do fun things together.
I rent a townhouse in Christiansburg, and it's a lovely townhouse. I've got 2 extra rooms in there. I can have my internet, have my arcade and stuff. And so it's a big improvement. What I would tell people is if they're curious about living on their own, is they need to get a waiver. And the way you do that is you can do several things. You can have an agency help you get it, or you can do it on your own. But it's a lot easier for an agency to help you. I guess the old adage is true. It takes more than one person to build a city, or whatever it's called. I mean, it took a lot of people to get me where I am today, and I am eternally grateful. I always will be.
The VCU Center on Transition Innovations is funded by the Virginia Department of Education.